Greetings and welcome back to the channel. If for the first time you're coming across my channel, please remember to subscribe. I did a video yesterday about the blackout in Spain and Portugal. So yesterday I did a video on the blackout in Spain and Portugal. So I wanted to come back today and do another video after doing a little bit of research and hearing what other people are saying about the topic. So I want to just point out that these are opinions of people. This is not my personal opinion. So I will play a few clips from TikTok and from YouTube and from the news to give you an insight on what people are saying, and then we probably give our own opinion on what we think is going on. So let me go to a few clips and then come back.
Storms here on Earth. So again, don't know what did cause it. I'm not qualified to say what did cause it, but I can say the power outages in Spain and Portugal were not caused by the sun. Hello everyone, I am an astrophysicist. I research the sun for a career. And yesterday I saw a lot of speculation online that the mass power outages that were caused in Spain and Portugal were due to activity on the sun. Now, it is true that solar activity can produce power outages here on Earth. This has happened in the past, happened in 1989 in Canada, happened in 2004 in South Africa and Sweden. And this happens when normally a large solar flare on the sun triggers an eruption of plasma, which we call a coronal mass ejection. This heads towards Earth, impacts Earth's magnetic field, and this can change the magnetic field of Earth enough that it can start to influence power grids and currents traveling on the ground. I can do a more explanatory video about that if you're interested. Now, although this can and does happen, this was not the cause of the power outages yesterday in Spain and Portugal. I'm not qualified to say what did cause the power outages. What I am qualified to say is that it was not due to the sun. We have had a very quiet week on the sun. No solar flares, no eruptions, no geomagnetic storms here on Earth. So again, don't know what did cause it. I'm not qualified to say what did cause it, but I can say the power outages in Spain and Portugal were not caused by the sun.
Yesterday's wide-scale power outage, one of the most serious blackouts Europe has ever experienced. Power has almost been fully restored to millions of customers, although there is still severe disruption to travel after flights were grounded and trains were brought to a standstill, leaving passengers stranded for hours.
What do we know then, Joe, of what actually the problem is and what's gone wrong?
At this point, nothing. At this point, I've not seen any reports that say what caused this massive power outage. We do know the scale of it. It seems really a large amount of the Iberian Peninsula, as I say, of Spain and Portugal have been taken down.
And parts of France as well.
Parts of France as well, yeah. So Red Electrica is the state-owned network company. So they're not the electricity generators. They're the ones that get it from the power stations to your home, to your business. So they obviously have some stations, or they have power lines that go into France as well, it seems, and so there's been a mild effect there, but I think the main effect, the biggest impact is, as I said, in Spain and Portugal.
And we've just been hearing that it could be 6 to 10 hours before services are restored. It's a long time for people to be without power, possibly needing to get home, or their phones might go down. I mean, this is going to have a massive effect.
Internet mobile services down, electric car chargers are down, fuel pumps are out. The Madrid Open was canceled. There was a prime minister debate in Portugal that has been canceled. Spain shut down its nuclear power plants, but they said they are stabilized because they're running on generators. Portugal is saying that it will take longer to get fully up and running because their infrastructure is different than Spain's. It's a mess. Did we get into this trouble because of renewable energy? The massive fluctuations between solar and wind, and you shut down your nuclear power plants. You move away from fossil fuels and you turn towards renewables, and you have this disaster. But it's an atmospheric anomaly. Okay. That's all we'll be watching it. We're going to be watching it. Next, we're going to be talking about weather manipulation and why it's not too far afield to believe that this is actually controlled when we have these governments that are able to control the weather, like HARP, like what we have at the South Pole Station. We're going to speak to someone who's done a massive deep dive and a lot of research on weather manipulation by governments, going back to Operation Popeye, Project Cirrus, all the way back. Now the UK government says it wants to dim its sun, and they're continuing to push this. I mean, I thought last week when we slammed them and other people were like, what the hell are you thinking? That the UK government will walk this back. No, then they held a panel about it. It's still on the front pages of newspapers. They're actively going forward with flying 777s over the UK and trying to cool the planet and block out the sun. Because what could go wrong? So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about weather manipulation here. The UK seems to be going all in on this weather manipulation plan, using 777s and other aircraft to darken the sun. Here's the Telegraph. Boeing 777s could cool the planet if you don't mind a little acid rain. Stratospheric aerosol injection technique could put brakes on global warming, study finds, but with damaging knock-on effects. Who cares about the knock-on effects? Cancer, inability to have babies, low testosterone, infertility. I mean, it sounds like the globalist's dream, right? Reduce the population, dim the planet, allow Bill Gates to live by himself in a seed repository somewhere. They say it's to combat global warming, but of course the real story is they've been doing it for decades. This isn't new. For crying out loud, look at Project Cirrus, 1947, as we covered last year on the show. A U.S. experiment along with the U.S. Navy, Army, and General Electric. They attempted to control hurricanes using cloud seeding. So there's a long history here of government weather manipulation. Joining us now to discuss weather manipulation is Austin Steinbart. He's a WikiLeaks researcher, founder of Quantum Party of America. He's deeply researched Operation Popeye, U.S. secret weather programs, and joins us now. Austin, I've been looking forward to having you on the show and talking about this for a while. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Clayton. Great to be here.
My pleasure. So when you hear the UK is planning this weather dimming, boondoggle in order to cool the planet, your head must have exploded, because you know that for decades they've been doing this. They're just kind of pretending like that this is a new idea. I guess give me your high level take when you started hearing these stories over the past week and a half out of the UK.
Well, my gut reflex is it's hard to imagine why anyone would want the UK to be colder or darker. It seems like it's already cold and damp and dark enough as it is. So it seems like they're going to really struggle to grow crops, and they're going to sacrifice themselves on the altar of this fake climate change racket.
So take me back. You've done a lot of research on Operation Popeye and these other programs. For the uninitiated, for people that are watching right now, because when we've covered these stories over the years, people are like, this is a conspiracy. I can't, come on, you guys are. And now we know it's not. I mean, enough has come out about this that it's not. But for people that might be watching this for the first time that never really thought about chemtrails, cloud seeding, these government programs as real, walk us through the origins of this.
Well, as you mentioned, the first project was Project Cirrus in the late 40s, where they were experimenting with de-amplifying a hurricane, and they ended up just amplifying it. And it caused a lot of lawsuits and a lot of destruction. And so then they pretended like they weren't doing that. A little bit later, they experimented with a thing called Project Storm Fury. That was another attempt to manipulate the weather that went awry. And then in Vietnam War, there's this thing called Operation Popeye, where they were spraying chemicals in the sky, and they were trying to create these massive rainstorms in the jungle to flood the tunnels and to wash out roads, and to, essentially using it as a weapon of war. And that led to this thing. It was a ENMOD treaty that says that weather manipulation is no longer allowed to be used for military or for hostile purposes. So it's a very clever little distinguishment there. And it doesn't preclude them from using it, like in the UK, for things like climate change, or in the United States even, doing these weather experiments on the DL. And whenever things happen, whenever things go awry, they always act like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist, that there's no way that they can do that. But there's a long track record here of weather being manipulated.
for various purposes. In the 90s, there was a briefing on creating fog and creating rainstorms to give cover for special operations. So this has been a topic of interest for the military for a long time. And they continue in 2025 to try to gaslight us into thinking that it's not.
How are they? I mean, we know that these superpowers realize that, I mean, by controlling the weather, I mean, in the Cold War, the United States, the Soviet Union really ramped up their manipulation efforts. Because I think at the heart of it is, if you can control the weather, it's more powerful than nuclear weapons. You can destabilize entire regions without firing a single bullet. You can cause widespread famine on a particular population, and it takes them totally off the battlefield in a way, right? I mean, and this is really what I think Operation Popeye was. But I think, would you say that this is more powerful than even sort of conventional weapons, being able to manipulate the weather in this way?
Absolutely. And it's definitely more sneaky because then they can say, oh, that wasn't us. That was an act of God there that did that. In the United States, I think the United States is the only country where we still pretend like this is not a thing and that this is a conspiracy theory. But all around the world right now, they're experimenting with weather modification. In China, they've created thousands of acres of new forest. They're doing this in the Middle East. They're doing this in India. They're doing this in Israel. They're doing this all over the place. There's actually a lawsuit. I don't know if you have it on the screen there, but there was a car dealership, a Volkswagen dealership in North Mexico, and they had this, it was like a little funnel thing that could shoot stuff up into the sky, and it could disperse clouds, and it caused a big famine on all the farmers around that. And what's on the screen right now, that is a project in Southern California. So they announced in 2020, hey, we're going to do this study. We're going to spray this chemicals in the sky and we're going to make it rain. There's going to be all these benefits. And they even listed at the top there those dates that they were the specific dates that they were going to do it. And in January of 2024, they did one of these cloud seeding experiments and they shot it southwest. It was coming out of Riverside. And they hadn't, I guess the government in San Diego hadn't cleared the storm drain. So it caused this massive flooding, displaced like 1,200 households there. And again, even though it's on their website there, even though, anyone could go look that up, they were talking about it openly. They just tried to gaslight everyone and pretend like it wasn't happening. So I was out there in 2024 covering some county board of supervisors meetings in San Diego. And normally it's kind of the more rambunctious activist crowd that is up there yelling at the board of supervisors. But at this particular meeting, this was a huge diversity of people of all shapes, sizes, colors, and backgrounds, all furious at the government for causing these artificial storms that had affected them so poorly and then not doing anything to help them afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, do they have any recourse? I mean, are they able to say, here it is on your website. You told us you were going to do this. You did this. You destroyed my home. You destroyed my neighborhood. Can I sue you? Can you get me a new home, please, that you destroyed?
The people were trying to make that happen, and the government just kept gaslighting everyone and denying that was even the case.
So after hearing the opinion on a different opinion of all those individuals, I will give my own opinion. My own opinion on what happened is, in everything that is happening in the world today, you have to take what the news is saying and with a pinch of salt. Meaning, there is some truth to the stories, and also there is some made up and the stories. But with the experience we've gotten over the years, let me pause this and come back. Yeah, with the experience we've gotten over the years from governments and their the things they've been up to, the United States government and other governments, the way they participate in many different atrocities across the world. I believe that some outside government or some outside entity create a situation where, because of the global warming and how people feel about the global warming and the switch they want to make to the fuel system since since the American or the United States of America start to reintroduce a type of way of acquiring energy that some people who is talking about global warming could have a problem with the American approach. And over the years, we've seen that the United States of America uh, has been very um, hands-on in the way they steer the direct world event using USAID, using the CIA and other agencies to bend things to look like accident, but they're the one that is doing it to implement their policies. Since the shift of this American government in policies away from the net zero and away from acknowledging that global warming exists, this Spain and Portugal blackout seems very suspicious to me. And it looked like it seems suspicious to others. And where there is smoke, there is some type of fire. The goal for the month of May. So the goal for the month of May is to get to full monetization. At the moment, I'm partially monetized. So that means this channel um, is at the required subscribers, but it's not at the required watch time hours. So to be in the YouTube partner program is to have 1,000 subscribers, which I will put here, and 4,000 watch time hours. But I have it. I'm over the 1,000 subscriber, actually 2,000 plus. But I do not have the 4,000 watch time hours. I'm 3,800 hours. That means I need another 200 watch time hours. So please, if you're watching the video, please watch it to the end and subscribe. And also go to my disaster preparedness playlist or the emergency playlist and watch those videos so that you can have an idea of what we're talking about on this video. That will give you also things you can do to prepare yourself for such a disaster as the blackout that is happening in Spain and Portugal, and storms and hurricanes and earthquakes and all of these natural disaster. And it also prepare you for unnatural disaster. So thank you for staying this long. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. Starting to the thing, people are not subscribed. Please subscribe, and the subscription